on, he and I were standing on street corners with signs a few years ago.
Glad you put the signs by it.
Anyway, we asked John to talk about the concern about superdelegates. Are you superdelegates?
I am.
Aha! Superdelegates, and also the whole issue of seating the delegations to Florida and Michigan. As I'm sure you have read, that neither state is going to do it, run. So this is a cause for concern for our Democrats, and I think a lot of us feel that we're getting a lot of black eyes from some of the things that are going on. For example, I have a brother in Florida who firmly believes it's the Democrats that are taking away votes from people in Florida, not their own legislature or their own government. So I hope that you could address those two subjects for us.
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, thank you for inviting me. I want to tell you the library is safe. I've been sitting over there for about a half hour. The library, we started at noontime, so I apologize for being here late, and I'm going to apologize when we're done that I'm not going to stay for the rest of the meeting, not because it won't be interesting, but because my son's in a basketball tournament and I got to get over to a game in Mansfield. I want to throw in a couple plugs before I get to the topic. You know, first of all, great gratitude to Frank Hines for all his service, and he's the kind of elected official that makes being the chair of the Democratic Party one of the most enjoyable jobs in the world. There are others that make it the other side of the score, but Frank leads the way in showing people what it means to have a Democrat representing you, and we've been all very fortunate in Plymouth County to have his leadership, and I know you and Marshfield have, and I know you've got a race to replace him with worthy candidates that are will keep that tradition alive. There's Frank's decision to move on to the next phase of his public service, which is by way of not letting you off the hook going forward, is not unique in Massachusetts. As a matter of fact, there are at least, I believe, a dozen other open House seats that will be contested this fall, and at this point, I believe 5 open Senate seats. And some of the open House seats are related to the open Senate seats because people are attempting to move up. And that's very exciting, and I think that there's a very similar pattern occurs in most of those cases that happen here, which is a very well respected and liked Democrat decides to step down, and a number of good Democrats step forward to offer their candidacy in an interesting situation. In many cases, the Republicans are struggling to find those candidates, and I don't want to taunt them or jinx ourselves, but I think that there are good opportunities here where we're going to hold seats that are ours and pick up some seats that are theirs. There's also a number of races you should keep an eye on legislatively where incumbent Republicans are being challenged by very, very good Democrats. One in particular that I'm enjoying is Senator Scott Brown is in for the run of his life in that district. He's being challenged by a young woman named Sarah Orozco, who lives in Needham. For those of you who understand the geography of that district, that is where you want to be to make a strong challenge. And Sarah is a first-generation Cuban-American citizen who's grew up in some very tough economic circumstances in Florida. She was one of the first generation of women to take advantage of Title IX. She got a volleyball scholarship to go to college. Now she's about this tall, so I don't think she played in the front row, but she went on to college and graduate school, and then earned a doctorate at the Harvard Medical School. She's a practicing psychologist, which skills won't be lost in the State House, I'm sure. But she is a remarkably effective candidate, and she's been running for a number of months, and I think that if you're watching some races a little bit further from home, keep an eye on Scott Brown. At the very least, he's going to have a miserable summer, which is worth something, yes. There's obviously I think that just not to skip over, but not spend much time, there's obviously John Kerry's up for re-election. It's important for us to keep a Democrat in that seat. Senator Kerry, I think, has done a great job for us for a long time. is an institution that thrives on seniority, that's organized on seniority. Senator Kerry, I believe now is 16th seniority in the U.S. Senate, and I think he's done a great job for us. There's a primary. Ed O'Reilly's running a campaign to challenge him in the primary, and there are at least 2 Republicans running in a primary for their side. But all that stuff seems to pale at times in face of the presidential campaign. And then the two items that you mentioned, I think, are on the top of most people's mind.